was scrolling Reddit, as one does, and I noticed that there's a lot of people asking different questions about Minecraft servers. And I realized I know a little bit about Minecraft servers, so I figured I would make a little collection, mini-series, if you will, and put together a little bit of information about Minecraft servers for a beginner. So for this episode, we'll be going over the basics of what is a Minecraft server and how do you start one. So when you decide that you want to make a Minecraft server, obviously you want a Minecraft server either to play with friends or to invite others to join you and become a Minecraft server admin yourself. There's a couple different options of what you can do. Obviously, if you go search Minecraft server download, then first option you get, we're assuming we're talking about Java, is from Minecraft's official website, and they'll have Minecraft server 1.21.10. That's the current latest version officially from Minecraft, and they'll have a little link to download it, and they'll also have this run command. So we'll talk about the run command a little bit later, but this link will allow you to download a very basic out-of-the-box Minecraft server jar. The jar is the type of file, so if you download it, you'll notice how it says server.jar is what starts downloading. Now, there's many spin-offs from Minecraft in terms of server software. We got some classic ones like Bukkit is the original Minecraft server. Now, they don't make it anymore because it's been a while since Bukkit has been in development, at least competitively. Craft Bukkit's the actual name, but you'll notice that they have there's a more newer version called Spigot, which is a sort of like a what's the technical term? Knockoff, spin-off, fork is a technical term from Bukkit. So Spigot is the fork off of Bukkit, and you can download their latest build, and you can compile it, and you can run that as well. Now, most people, at least at the moment, don't actually use Bukkit or Spigot. They use PaperMC. PaperMC is another fork off of Bukkit, and this is more stable and faster and more reliable than either Spigot or Bukkit. Now, why would you want to use Spigot, Bukkit, or Paper versus Minecraft's official one? Because Paper, Spigot, and Bukkit all offer the ability to use plugins. Now, Paper even has a convenient list of plugins on their website, their hangar.papermc.io, and these are a bunch of plugins that will modify your server. So if we go back to the first page over here, you'll notice how they have VIA version. This allows newer editions to connect. They also have VIA backwards down here, which allows older Java edition to connect to your server. So for example, if your server is running 1.21.10, VIA backwards will allow 1.8 or 1.9 or 1.12 to connect to your server, even though your server is a later version. VIA version does the opposite. So if you're running a 1.18 server, a 1.21.10 client will be able to connect to that server. So these are just an example of different plugins. Now another option is Geyser. Geyser will allow Bedrock players to connect to a Java edition server. Although that does come up with some hiccups and is not exactly smooth sailing, but we'll get to that later. Another very popular one is Essentials or Essentials X, which will add a bunch of admin tools and commands for your server, like the TPA command, the /home command, and also some admin commands like sudo or vanish. We'll get to that in another episode. So those are the basic single server softwares that are available, and those are some of the most popular ones. We can get to in another episode other platforms such as Velocity and Bungee Cord, but that's for a different time. Now, we're going to assume that you want to, for this tutorial, we're going to assume you want to run PaperMC. Now, it's going to be the same basic concepts for basically every Minecraft server, but that's if you want to install plugins. However, there's also Fabric servers. Now, this is for if you want to install mods. Fabric, Forge, and a couple other server. There's several other server launchers that you can use they run mods. So if you want to run a modded server, you have to use either Fabric, Forge, or a similar. Now, a lot of people use Fabric for other reasons. If you go to Paper, Paper has a slight issue, slight caveat that they do change some things on the back end that makes certain exploits or whatnot that are in vanilla Minecraft not be able to use. But Fabric, if you want a Fabric server, you can still use those vanilla exploits or abilities, because Fabric doesn't change the back end as much as Paper does, or Spigot or Bucket. So it's depending on what exactly you want to play on your server, then Fabric might be a better choice than Paper or Spigot. When you download either one, you're going to run them the same. So we'll just the only difference on the server end is that these will be using mods instead of plugins. So this platform will be using plugins, whereas this platform will be using mods. But very similar ideas prevail throughout. So we're just going to download this. We're going to use Paper, and we're going to download the latest one, which is Paper 1.2110. Right now it's build number 117. So we're going to download this. Right now that we have it downloaded, we can open up where it is, and we should move this to a different folder. So right now I'm just going to create a folder right here, and we're going to call this Paper Server 1.21.10. So if we go in here and we move the file over here, now right now I have Java installed, but most people won't have Java installed, so you're going to have to install what they call a JDK. I personally like Adoptium. This is what's going to recommend if you were to run this without installing Java, it's going to show up an error and it's going to tell you need to install Java. So you're going to need to install it, so you would just download it and run the installer just like you normally would for any other program. It's going to walk you through all the steps. But I already have Java installed, so I'm going to skip that step, and I'm just going to double click on this and to run this for the first time. So you notice how there's the spinning wheel next to my mouse is telling me it's loading. So it's going to take a minute, and it should start up. Right, you can know it's running And if you open up the task manager, it'll come up as OpenJDK platform binary, and you'll see it says running Minecraft 1.10. Okay, that's not it. Okay, so now that I have this open here, it didn't completely run it, and I'll show you why. So if you notice here, it says eula.txt. So here you're going to have to open this up, and you're going to notice how it says, by changing the setting below true, you're indicating our agreement to our EULA. So EULA is the operating agreement that you have to agree that you're going to abide by Minecraft's rules when you run the server. So if you go here and you just change this to true, saying I do agree that I'm going to listen to the rules, I'm going to save that and I'm going to close it, and then now I can restart it, and now the server will actually run instead of just creating these files. Alright, so you'll notice how this is popped up, but sometimes they'll also pop up a Windows security alert if you're running on Windows. So here I'm just going to say I'm going to allow access. I do want this Java JDK. Notice this is OpenJDK. That's the Java JDK that we downloaded from Eclipse over here, and we're going to allow access so that it can run properly. So this is the Minecraft. This is the paper GUI. This is for the Minecraft server. This is paper, and notice how it says, "This is the first time starting the servers. Recommend you read our Getting Started guide." This is Paper MC's documents on getting started with this. So right now the server is running. If I opened up Minecraft, I would be able to connect to the server. Now the server is running on your personal IP address. So you're gonna have to figure out where your IP address is. Now, if there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. If you go down here to properties, you can scroll all the way down. This is going to be your IP4 address. This is your address. If you were to go Minecraft open up Minecraft on your personal computer, then you're going to have to go here and you go put in this address as the Minecraft server address, and you would be able to connect to your Minecraft server. So if we were to go here, we're going to open this up. We're going to click Join Server. Now I happen to be running an old Minecraft profile, so we're going to relaunch this. This is a different launcher instead of Minecraft's classic launcher. It's a separate launcher, but don't worry about that. Your regular launcher will work perfectly fine. But you'll notice here how even though I have an old session, it'll show that I connected. So it has my username and it says this last connection disconnected, but that's just because I had older session Minecraft. So now that I relaunched, I can go back here. I can put in my my computer's IP address, and I can click Join Server. And right now it's joining the world. You know, it says a UUD of player, etc. It says I joined the game. Now I'm in. The world is actually my Minecraft server. So we're just gonna disconnect from that. Now it says it has all the information over here about my user, and it gives you this kind of information about every single user. Now I'm actually just going to stop the server right now using the word stop, and you notice how there's all kinds of information here. Even it says Spigot. Now you might recognize that this was a different platform. We're writing paper, but it says Spigot.yml here. You can ignore that. That's because this paper is actually a fork of Spigot, which is in itself a fork of Bucket. So if you open up properties, server.properties, just open it up in normal Word notepad. It'll give you all kinds of information about your server. This information generally you don't need to touch most of it. You can ignore it. MOTD, this is message. It stands for message of the day. That's the notice here. It says a Minecraft server. That's what this is. So you can change this to whatever you want. You can say hello world, you can say your Minecraft server's name, etc. And for the most part, we're going to ignore everything, but you just focus on this my server port. If you change this, then when you connect to the server, you'll change it. So right now it's 25565. This is the default Minecraft server. So if you don't put in this information over here at the end, after the IP address, the colon and the semicolon, and then the port number, it's going to assume that this is the port. But if you put something else over here, you're going to have to make sure that when you connect specifically to that port. Now, this is the paper server, so I mentioned that you can have plugins. So any plugins you would want, you would put over here in this folder, directly into this folder. So I have some plugins, I have World Edit, I've got Vault, I've got Voice Chat, and I can just copy this, and I can move it to this plugins folder, and I'll paste it right in here. And now, I can also go any others if I have more. Say I've got Luck Perms. This is actually Fabric Surf, but whatever, we can add in whatever we want. But these will now load when I run the paper server. Now, one last thing for this video is we'll talk about a start, a different instead of right-clicking. Instead of double-clicking on the jar file and running it, we're going to talk about creating a start.bat. Now, a bat file is actually just a file that will run a command. So if you were to open this file, it will run a command as a command prompt, viewing it within this file structure. So if I were to edit this, so if I were to open this up, click edit, open it up in Notepad, I can run any command here. Now if you remember, you go back to the Minecraft server download. Minecraft itself gave this command. He says you can run it with the following command: Java, whatever, jar Minecraft server 1.21.10 jar no GUI. Now what this command does is it specifies different aspects. So you're saying running it, I want to run something with the Java, so I want to run it as Java. Then this is how much RAM I want to allocate to the server. So if you're to change these numbers, you can add more RAM to the server. When you just double click on it, I believe these are the defaults. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the default amount of RAM, but you could change these numbers and you can add more RAM. We can get into more detail specifically about what numbers to change that to later. But then it's saying jar to tell you this is a Java jar file, and then you have to specify this, this is the file that you're running, and then this is a GUI. You can leave that off. You can run if you don't want to have that little pop-up that had all the information. Instead, you want to run it as only on the command. You can run it with no GUI. So if now we were open up this, you notice how this is a different file name than what we have here. So we need to copy the file name, and we want to replace it over here because we're running this file. We're not running Minecraft's standard file. So if you were to just quickly save that, and to go back here, and if you were to double click this, start.bat, it'll now open up a command prompt, because remember that file, this bat file, is actually just running a command in the command prompt. And this will actually give you all the same information as it would if you were to double click that. Remember that GUI gave you this in the right hand side, and at the left hand side it had a little graph telling us different information about how much RAM I was using. So right now, if you notice, this is Vault, Voice Chat, Vault, Discord, SRV. Those are the plugins that we just put in there. And right now, when we run it with those plugins for the first time, they'll create these little folders in them that will have configs and different files just specifically for that plugin. So if you were to go here to Discord SRV, notice how it said here error in red, there's no bot token. So if you were to go to config over here, open this up, notice how it says bot token over here. This we'd have to replace it with our bot token. So we can get into things like that later. But for now, that's where we're going to stop this tutorial. And but just keep in mind that you can either run it directly through here, but if you want to more customize how many what you want to allocate and exactly how you want to run this command file, then you're going to need to use a start.bat or type in the command manually each time you run it. So for example, if we want to we want to keep the GUI, so we're just going to save that, and if you are to instead double click on the start.bat, then we would come up with this right here with the stats, with this is how much RAM is being used in the players and whatnot, if we were to keep the GUI. And we'll hold that here for now. And in future videos, we will be exploring more technical aspects and different aspects about how to run a server, and hopefully you'll listen along to those as well.